Live.
Can we pause it?
No, I'm just gonna start with the screen.
Okay.
Just 1 second.
But then the YouTube folks can see our chat, right?
Mhm.
Okay. And you're showing yours now.
Mhm.
So you're going to run it?
I run the video and then you run
Okay.
the chat.
It's not set to auto record because, right?
Mhm.
Okay. I didn't want to record the practice session. I guess it doesn't record until we start anyhow.
Yes, you will. You need to so okay,
Okay.
let me do that in the cloud. Let me do that.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Cloud, please. You're still the host.
So whenever you want, we can start
Okay,
in
2
2
minutes.
minutes. So you want me to speak on the language thing, right?
It's up to you. Do you want to look
Okay.
and see what it looks like? It's very familiar to you.
Yeah.
It just says Spanish and English. It's probably 10 seconds in.
Right. Okay.
And then pause on it. And then I give a background and thank all the speakers. And then I give a little background again on Claudia's. And then I cut out the part last night where she just lost connection for like, I don't know, 15 seconds. So when it fades out, don't panic.
Okay. So we are live now
Okay.
in YouTube. So.
Just on YouTube, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So don't panic because that would make me panic if I'd never seen it before. Thank you. There's a lot of content. I think you'll be busy today. I think I think it will be interesting, but just a lot of talking.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming to our GAAPP Academy session on member organization success stories. Today we have English and Spanish translation for whoever needs to use our live translations. Hola a todos. Gracias por venir a Academia GAAPP 2024. Hoy tenemos traducción en español y el tema de hoy es historias de éxito de las organizaciones de pacientes de GAAPP.
Hi, everyone. It's Kristen Willard. I am the Vice President of Education here at GAAPP, and I'm thrilled that you have joined us today. So today will be a little different. We're going to have 3 different speakers. You'll notice that these are recorded because we have people from all over the world today, and I'm going to give a thank you to them before we begin. So I'd like to thank our speaker, Joseph Senya. He's from the Ghana Community Aid and Family Aid Foundation in Africa. Thank you, Joseph, so much for your insight and sharing your story. We will have Claudia Fuentes from Fundación Chile Asma. in South America. This will be a fantastic conversation. I hope you enjoy it. And Stephanie Williams from the COPD Foundation in the United States in North America. Again, another enthusiastic and wonderful member organization and person who's going to share some experience that they've had with one of their flagship programs. I hope you enjoy this. Please reach out with any questions you may have. And welcome to our August, can you believe it, August 2024 GAAPP Academy. This will be the first of two that we'll be doing, sharing member organization success stories. We absolutely cannot wait for that. That should be fantastic to hear all these lessons learned and all the great things that these organizations have been doing. So today I am lucky that I'm in the same place as Victor Gascon Moreno. We are here for a retreat together to work on GAAPP projects with the rest of the group, almost everybody. But it's very nice to be together in person, to see each other and not to be on Zoom for a little while. So today we will hear from Claudia, welcome, who is going to tell us about her recent successes. You can see them right there in asthma in Chile. And I'll be turning it over to Victor, who will be speaking in Spanish for the remainder of the conversation. And thank you both so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Kristen. Bueno, primero quería introducirles a todos y a su organización a Asma Chile. Entonces, creo que mejor, Claudia, que te presentes a ti misma y nos expliques brevemente cómo nació Asma Chile y el por qué y el resto también que se presente porque nos encanta también.
Muchísimas gracias por invitarme. Bueno, Víctor ya lo dijo, mi nombre es Claudia. Es una organización que nació con la necesidad de los medicamentos biológicos. Hay un programa en el Hospital del Tórax que nosotros más o menos somos como 20 a 30 pacientes que recibimos biológicos. Entonces, el ministerio no nos dan los medicamentos. Entonces nos reunimos un par de pacientes y dijimos, vamos a tratar de pedir estos medicamentos. Entonces, por paciente para paciente, ¿ya? Son tres objetivos los que tenemos. Uno es visibilizar el asma grave. Es poder tener una comunicación directa con el MinSal, que es el Ministerio de Educación, para medicamentos biológicos. Y tercero, tratar de ser un apoyo entre nosotros para poder acompañarnos en esta.
Quería que nos hablaras brevemente bueno, has tenido muchísimos proyectos de éxito, pero lo que queremos resaltar es ese gran proyecto que hablabas de traer los biológicos. Brevemente, de dónde sale la necesidad, cómo ha sido construido lo que estamos ahora, y después entraremos en más detalles sobre el proyecto.
Nosotros, esto nace, llegaron cinco biológicos a Chile. Estos 5 biológicos en el tórax se ocupan 3. Yo, más o menos como en el año 2015, 2016, participé en unos protocolos, unos estudios clínicos. Ahora, estos medicamentos son de alto costo. Alto costo, quiere decir que mensualmente nosotros debemos gastar más o menos entre 1.200.000 a 2 millones de pesos. Mejora la calidad de vida sin necesariamente mejorar la enfermedad, ¿ya? Entonces, el Ministerio de Salud no tiene garantía para ese medicamento. Por lo tanto, hoy día hay muchos pacientes que teniendo un asma grave, teniendo la necesidad de medicamentos accesibles, ¿ya? Con ello comenzamos esta tarea y en qué estamos. Reunión, la advocacy es reunión tras reunión, en MinSal, en la Cámara de Diputados, en la Comisión Médica, o sea, de alguna manera hacernos escuchar que necesitamos esta médica.
Muy bien, me parece, bueno, me parece, no, lo confirmo porque he estado con tu persona en Chile, que estás haciendo un gran trabajo y estamos ya pues, cerca de seguir los biológicos. Si pudieras decir, sé que hay muchos factores que contribuyen al éxito de este proyecto, pero ¿nos podrías decir cómo los factores principalmente que crees que han contribuido al éxito en tu viaje para conseguir los biológicos en Chile?
Yo creo que está la necesidad de que empaticen con esta enfermedad. Número uno, o sea, para mí, segundo, perseverancia. Yo entiendo que en cada una de las organizaciones, todos los sistemas de salud en general, muy políticos. Finalmente se pierde la parte humana. Y yo creo que ahí es donde uno tiene que perseverar. La verdad que yo he querido varias veces como ya no quiero seguir. Y tú me has escuchado decir, yo a la vez digo, no sé hacer. Entonces, yo creo que es tener perseverancia y a dónde quiero llegar, cuál es mi objetivo en este punto para lograr incorporar los medicamentos al que y que sean garantizados por el Ministerio de Salud.
Lo primero te voy a decir que no te vamos a dejar abandonar nunca, Claudia, que si es por mí vas a estar ahí toda la vida y te vamos a apoyar en todo lo posible, o sea que no, no puedes rendirte, no te permitimos. Entonces, nos has hablado de que has estado trabajando con el MinSal, durante 10 has trabajado también con voluntarios o miembros de tu comunidad para avanzar con este proyecto.
A ver, sí, nosotros vemos más o menos como 3, 4 pacientes activos. ¿Ya? Un paciente que es muy activo con el tema de redes sociales. Y ella es la que se encarga y hablamos juntos, necesitamos hacer esto, me mando a ella desarrolla las ideas para el tema de Instagram, que es lo que necesitamos hacer. Esta paciente nos ayuda en todo el tema de tengo que armar alguna reunión.
Ah, ya puedes continuar, Claudia, cuando quieras.
¿Me escucha ahora?
Sí, sí, te escuchamos.
Se fue.
No
Y
pasa
bueno, y
nada.
hay otras pacientes que, por ejemplo, si yo tengo alguna reunión, tenemos una comunidad en WhatsApp, que más o menos son como 50 pacientes, que esa comunidad en WhatsApp lo que hace es contención, consejo, cómo pueden ayudarse unos con otros, y lo tercero, que a través de esa comunidad, si yo necesito algún video, necesito alguna experiencia frente a algo, pido a esta comunidad y me envíen videos o como también para ir a las reuniones. Ellos me dicen, ya Claudia, yo voy y me acompañan. Nos movemos.
Sigo que tu comunidad te apoye y estéis todos trabajando juntos y espero que tu comunidad crezca. Aparte de todo el apoyo que te vamos a dar desde GAAPP y desde Sareal. ¿Nos puedes decir cuál ha sido? Sé que hay muchos problemas por el camino, muchos challenges, pero ¿me puedes decir en tu opinión, cuál ha sido como el mayor problema al que te has enfrentado o alguna cosa algún problema que no te esperabas tener y que te has encontrado en el camino?
Mira, voy a ser bien honesta con todo. cuando comenzamos esto, me dijeron, muy fácil, se hace lo legal y no hay problema, firmamos y se acabó. El trámite legal muy engorroso, muy demorado casi 2 años y medio en tener todo legalmente listo para poder funcionar de una mejor manera, ¿ya? Ese es el primer problema que de hecho yo siempre alguna vez he compartido, que yo digo que me engañaron, me engañó, el tema legal, el tema de un papel para otro papel y todo eso. Segundo, por lo que he tenido que pasar han sido con los mismos pacientes. Les pides ayuda y no pueden, nadie puede. Entonces, me ha costado realmente tener esta relación hoy día con los pacientes, que ahora la agradezco muchísimo porque ellos están dispuestos a, cuando les pido cosas, y rápidamente funcionan. Y eso ha sido muy bonito. Fue la primera etapa, o sea, 2 años y medio, 3, muy complicado tratar de convencerlos, tratar de decir, oye, es por el bien de ustedes. Yo creo que esos han sido mis mayores como obstáculos. Lo tercero, 3 puntos, es las autoridades y el no poder hacerles ver la necesidad que tenemos, los pacientes más graves, de contar con este medicamento. O sea, esa insensibilidad que hay, se choca, es como que llegas a una pared todo el tiempo. Con lo que me ha pasado en realidad en el camino, civilizar a otros.
Me alegra que hables de esos problemas, pero también me alegra mucho que hables de cómo los has superado y creo que es una gran lección para todas las personas que se han encontrado con este mismo problema, o sea que te agradezco tu actividad. En las 2 preguntas más, sé que estoy ocupando mucho de tu valioso tiempo, pero em, entonces, digamos que en el proyecto de conseguir que los biológicos lleven a Chile, ¿cuál sería, digamos, el punto que dices, he tenido éxito? ¿Sería que los medicamentos entraran en el sistema privado o en el salud público? Ya, ya estoy, ya lo he conseguido. ¿Cuál es ese escenario para ti?
El escenario para mí, en realidad son dos. Pero uno, que los biológicos entren al GES y que sean garantizados por el Estado, que sean garantizados por en este minuto, eh, el Ministerio de Salud. Y eso tiene que ver a través del GES, a través de la, ¿cómo se llama?, de Ricarte Soto, pero es lo primero que necesitamos lograr, porque si entramos con esta batería de medicamentos, créeme que la vida de 1.400, yo siempre, familias, yo hablo de personas, pacientes, porque se afectan en la familia, no es un paciente nomás, es la familia. Este minuto son entre 1.400 a 1.700 familias. Entonces, el objetivo principal, y todo hoy de este mundo, es que los biológicos que sean garantizados para todos, sin excepción. ¿Tienes dinero o no tienes dinero? Es lo mismo. Que sean garantizados. Ese es mi primer objetivo.
Bueno, yo sé que lo conseguirás, Claudia. Y muchas gracias por hacer eso por tu país y por toda esa familia. Me gusta escribir. En GAP hay otras organizaciones que también están en la misma lucha que estás tú, que están trabajando para conseguir traer biológicos a su país, no solo para muchas otras condiciones. Sé que les podrías dar durante 50 horas, pero dime un consejo que les darías a otra organización que está andando en ese camino en el que tienes recorrido.
difícil dar uno porque van amarrados todos. Número orden es 10 días para tener éxito en realidad en todo, es amor. O sea, voy a amar a los otros pacientes como me amo a mí. También necesito el medicamento. Entonces, de ahí, de esa mirada, puedo decir perseverante. Yo creo que la perseverancia es lo que va a lograr el objetivo. Yo siempre hablo del suplicio chino, cuando te cae la gota aquí. Es largo el camino. O sea, nosotros llevamos más de 20 reuniones, no más. Pero no puedo lograr perseverancia y el amor que puedas tener a otra gente. Yo, como te digo, pienso mucho en familias, pacientes, con familias. Y desde ahí, yo digo, bueno, y créeme que a veces me cuesta porque las autoridades son como peces, pero yo creo que con perseverancia y cariño, amor, vamos a poder lograrlo. Para todos igual.
Es un gran consejo, Claudia. Tienes toda la razón. Perseverancia y que sientes igual que te quieres a ti. Muchísimas gracias. Y muchísimas gracias por tu tiempo hoy. Pero sobre todo, muchísimas gracias por tu perseverancia y por tu amor, y por los pacientes de asma en Chile. Y GAAPP, como te he dicho muchas veces, estará a tu lado. Y GAAPP y Sarea Alamo estaremos a tu lado para ayudarte en este camino. Muchas gracias. Y si no tienes algo más que decir antes de que nos vayamos.
Solo dos cositas. Primero agradecer, porque en este camino te encuentras con muchas personas lindas. Te encuentras muchas situaciones amargas, porque no logras llegar, no logras. Pero el camino muchas personas muy lindas que te animan a seguir. Y como te digo, el tener el amor a ti mismo como a otro te ayuda mucho. Y agradecer acá, definitivamente agradecer a ustedes porque yo no me olvido la primera vez que yo los vi, que vi a mi Italia, que te vi aquí, que vi a todos allá en la primera conferencia y no, yo creo que fue un antes y un después. Y estamos maravillosos. O sea, palabra para decirlo agradecida que estoy con todo lo que ustedes me han ayudado y me han animado a seguir.
Thank you for being here
Así que
today.
muchísimas gracias y ánimo a todos.
So glad. So you
no
are
hay
part
otra
of the
cosa que
trio
hacer
of
en esta
speakers that we
vida
have
que
representing North
vivir.
America.
Y
We
eso es
have a
parte de
colleague
la
of
vida.
yours from Africa as well as South America
Muchísimas
today. So
gracias,
we're
Claudia,
very
por
lucky to
tus
have you
palabras
all. And as I
y
understand
por
it,
tu
today we'll be
sonrisa, que
talking
siempre
about
nos da el apoyo
harmonicas for
para
health. But
continuar
people may
apoyando
not know
organizaciones
who you are.
cooperativas.
I know you very
Muchas
well, but
gracias
could you
por tu
introduce
tiempo
yourselves, your
y
organization, and
para los que
from?
estáis viendo este webinar, si queréis aprender más
Stephanie
sobre Asma
Williams. I'm the Vice
Chile
President of Education and
y
Engagement
sobre
at the
su
COP. And
proyecto
I
para
live
los diabéticos en
in
Chile,
Nashville,
pondremos aquí
Tennessee
un
in the
I
link
can
United
hear
States.
that.
a su Instagram.
Yeah,
Puedes
so we're much.
seguir
focused on the
So
people
let's
on the
talk
screen.
about
I'm not sure why
harmonica.
that's happening.
las
Sorry.
que
A little bit
compartáis
about
sus materiales y les
the
apoyáis en
program, when it
viaje
started, what it involves, who it's for.
para conseguir esa
I can try
mejora
to
en la
tell you a
salud
little bit about
de
it.
los pacientes de
I
Chile.
tend
Muchísimas
to
gracias
get really excited
y que
about it
tengas un
and
buen día, Claudia,
unload. But I will
Yes.
try to keep it
y
short
nos
for
vemos
you.
pronto.
Gracias.
So we started this program in 2016, and there were a group
Hasta
of us
Nos
luego.
that
vamos a
got
ver mucho.
together, medical professionals,
Chao,
that
gracias.
thought, we really should have a program that emphasizes breathing and correct breathing techniques for people who have chronic lung conditions. So we met and thought, the harmonica is the perfect vehicle for this, because actually most people don't know this or may not realize it, but the harmonica actually makes music when you blow through it, of course, but also when you draw a breath through it. So it is kind of like a little bit of inspiratory muscle training and expiratory muscle training all at the same time. So it mimics pursed lip breathing. And so people who are experiencing COPD really should have that pursed lip breathing exercise in their toolkit, but many of them don't actually use pursed lip breathing. So we thought this is kind of a fun but sneaky way to get them to do their breathing exercises and have a little fun.
That's fantastic. So for a lay person like me, why is that good for you? Why is it good for you to practice that? What does that do for your lungs?
So when people are living with COPD, oftentimes they can get a breath in. They can take a breath in very, very easily, but they have a hard time um, getting that breath up and out of their lungs. And so they can have what we call air trapping.
Mhm.
So pursed lip breathing actually creates a little bit of back pressure in the lungs so that air, that old air, can come up and out. So here's the catch. That's not your go-to. That is not something that comes to the front of your brain if you're having anxiety or you're exerting yourself and you're feeling short of breath. Your instinct is not to say, I think I'll take a moment and breathe in for 2 counts through my nose and out for 4 through my mouth. So
Right.
that's not your instinct. You really need to train yourself to be able to use that in for 2, out for 4, in through 2, out 4. So you want to make sure that you're able to practice that when you don't need it, so that when you do need it, you have the ability to pull that forward, and it's more like
Oh,
muscle memory.
that makes perfect sense. You're just more likely to do it because it's just become part of your
Yes,
management of your condition, right? Very
exactly.
nice. That's very nice. So I think I know some of the answers to this, but I'm so interested to hear from you why you think it's so successful. Why do people with COPD like it so much? Why do their physicians and their healthcare teams like it? What makes it a successful program?
No, no, I think the number one thing is that it is fun. It is fun. But the real catch here is that most people have never really played the harmonica. So it's a level playing field. If they happen to go to a group setting, a group class, there's not going to be 1 or 2 people in that group that are professional harmonica players. So everybody comes in with kind of a basic understanding of what a harmonica is.
Yes, they've seen
But
them.
right, right. I've seen it. I kind of get it. It makes noise, but they don't necessarily know how to play. So everybody is starting out from scratch. So I think that's one thing. And the other piece of it is I do think that that learning process builds a lot of camaraderie. And for people who are living with COPD, often, sadly, they find that their world is shrinking a little bit. They find themselves having a lot of doctor's visits or requiring oxygen to leave the house or things that keep them from being as social maybe as they once were. And to have a group like this where they can socialize and be active and engaged, it's just something that is really appealing to them and keeps them coming back time and again. So for the healthcare professional side, the draw for that is um, this is the only program that exists that isn't just piecemeal. This is an
Mm,
actual program that
mm,
takes
mhm.
them through, lesson 1 through lesson 5 and kind of shows them step by step what they should be doing, what they should be talking about. There's no guesswork in it. And they don't have to be musical geniuses either. They just have to be willing to pick up the banner and run with it.
That's great. So what it sounds like is this is like a ready-made program that almost anybody, right? We're not professionals, like you said, but almost anyone could implement if they wanted to help their patients. So again, for the other conditions we cover, it might not be harmonicas for health, but there might be something similar that people could do that would A, be good for the patient, B, be good for their, their physical health and their mental health, right? Because it would reduce isolation or they'd be among other people who were experiencing what they were experiencing. And then it comes in I don't want to say curriculum. What would you call it?
I would kind of call it a curriculum,
Okay.
at least a guide. There's some guidance there. So maybe curriculum is too tight, but um,
You understand what I mean. Well, I'm
right,
trying to think of a better word, right? But it's almost like it's ready made. It's like a toolkit.
turnkey, yeah.
Yeah, so that anybody can implement it, and I'm sure it's written at a level that's appropriate for patients and, of course, the people who are teaching them that may know nothing about this. So it's a
And
win-win no matter where you how you cut it.
that's right. That's right. Aside from being written, our materials are generally written around the eighth grade level.
Right.
Um, but these also have some lovely illustrations. So, it's very expressive and shows a lot of different techniques in imagery instead of just words.
I love that. Now I want to get my harmonica out. Not today. No one deserves that. Let me ask you, because I think we really do learn a lot from talking about our lessons learned. Um, were there barriers that you can share with us to implementation, to development, anything that would help someone who was doing something similar um, out with their community?
I think what we learned, have been so many things, but I think what we have learned is to create a program that always has room for growth. And so trying to construct it from the beginning in a way that we knew we could build on it to easily do translations or to easily add music later on. I think taking the time at the beginning to really make sure that we were not boxing ourselves in and keeping our options wide open, I think that was something that I would share with anyone that wanted to start a program.
That's helpful. So you always knew it could be added to, that it could be something bigger, that you could change it, and putting the planning in on the front end prevented you from then hitting obstacles later if you did want to do those things.
Exactly, yes.
So this is a little bit of a side question, but I think it's important. Everybody is so busy. How do you justify taking that extra time to plan? Right? I need a minute or a week or two or a month to run this by my wise people, see if patients talk to patients and see if they'll use it. I'm sure that's part of the process. So how do you make that happen?
At the risk of sounding like I have it all together because I don't. Um, I have this saying that my mom taught me, and she says, if you don't have time to do it right the first time, how are you going to have time to do it again? And so I think it's just really important to take a step back and realize, as excited as you are about the implementation process and getting a product to print or getting it out to the public, to have a product that's out is one thing, but to have a product that has a long-term potential is something else entirely. So just kind of building that into your style and to your workflow, it's pretty important.
It is. I think we now all have to have this on our quote board, because that's something I think that could help us no matter the project. It's spending that time on the front end really does save you time on the back end. And then on the back end, then you could be planning for the next project that well, right? I think that's wise. Your mother's a wise person, was very wise. Um, Let me ask you about metrics. So not everybody's like most joyous question, right? Or no most joyous point, but we must show the value of our programs, and we must also be able then to know if we're on the right track so that we can change things, modify our approach if we need to. So how's it been gauging the success of your program? How have you done it? And do you have any recommendations on that front for people?
So we have spent a good bit of time figuring out ways to connect with our end user. Our situation is a little different than most people's because we are connecting with individual users who are just doing this program at home on their own, as well as people who are using this in person settings, also virtual settings. So we've spent a good bit of time figuring out how we can connect with each of those end users and get their feedback, because that is important. I don't want to have a product out there that just kind of almost does the trick, right? It's like, oh, that's really almost good. I do love to get their feedback and their input because it just helps to make the program stronger. We have done some informal survey type questions with
Mhm.
some group settings.
Oh, okay.
And we've gotten some fantastic feedback from them, enough to say we have anecdotal evidence that shows that
Mhm.
is improvement in mucus
Mhm.
and that kind of thing. We have also sent out individual survey cards to
Oh,
some
great.
individuals who are doing it, like I said, just at home on their own. So when we get that feedback in, we can look at it a little bit differently than we do the group feedback. So we're saying
Mhm.
this person doesn't have the benefit of having the socialization, or they don't have the benefit of having a facilitator standing in front of them, guiding them through the lessons. So what might we need to change for those individuals who are learning on their own as opposed to group or virtual settings? But we do have a few documents that we have partnered with other groups to try and get larger response rates. And we take all those very seriously and try to incorporate all that feedback into the program for future classes.
I love that. The other thing about that is that what you're speaking about is something that people can do. It's not easy, right? It's not easy to get that feedback and you have to figure out postage and that type of
Right.
thing. But you could use a free platform like SurveyMonkey to get information on, user satisfaction or that type of thing. And those could be free platforms that you could program in a language that was applicable to you, say if you were a different GAAPP organization.
That's right. And we have even used um, just kind of this self-reporting. So when there's a group that meets in a hospital support group setting, for example,
Sure.
a lot of times we'll ask them to just do an informal poll of their
Oh,
group
great.
that's before them. So then we don't have to wait on 10 different people to figure out how to log into a Survey Monkey or whatever.
Right.
So we have one reporting person from that facility that reports back into us. So that's kind of cut out the middleman quite a bit and worked
That's
well.
and you're doing it different ways. There are options
Right.
then for the individual at home. I like that too. So it doesn't have to be something that's a clinical trial to find out how
Oh,
your
no.
program is performing and if there are changes you need to be made or what language people want this translated into, et cetera, right? You can get that feedback more directly. I really like that. So last thing, if you had one piece of advice for an organization, a person like you, if you could go back now all those years and say, okay, here's what I would do differently, or here's what's something that's helped us to thrive. Well, you could have two if you want it, but one piece of advice that you would give someone in a similar situation to help a program like this thrive.
Mm, just one or two. I think I can narrow it down to one.
Okay.
I would say so at the COPD Foundation, we always bring patients in, right? So we're always bringing them in to get their opinions, to make sure that their voices are heard. But in this particular instance, we knew that we were going to get their feedback and we knew that we were going to seek their input, but
Mhm.
we did it a little bit later than I think we should have.
Okay.
I would have brought them in early. And because there would have been some things that we would have changed from the get-go that we didn't catch until we brought them in, and that was a couple of months into the process, which doesn't seem like a long time, but when you're in program development that way, it is a long time. So I would say bring your patient population in, bring that patient voice in much earlier, bring it in at the beginning.
Yeah, that's a great advice. That's really great advice because 2 months in, you're off to the races. Now
Right.
everybody wants to do this. They've heard about it. It's out on
Right.
your social media, etc. So this goes back to your mom's great advice about making sure, right, that you're putting that on the front end. We need to learn from her. But I really think that's true, and making sure any other stakeholders, patients may be one, but for other programs, maybe in advocacy or other pillars, let's say, it could be physicians, it could be administrators, it could be ministers of health, etc. But making sure you talk to everybody on the front end, not easy, but worthwhile.
Very much. That's the best piece of advice I have.
That's great advice. So thank you so much. I really appreciate this. We'll make sure that we put the information on each of the programs talked about here today in the caption. And I really hope to see you soon.
Thank you so much. Hope to see
Thanks,
you too.
Stephanie. Bye.
Bye.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Joseph, for being here with us today. I know that the community is thrilled to hear more about World Environment Day, and you'll be telling us about that. So I want to get started. Tell us who you are and where you're from, what organization that you represent.
Okay. My full name is Joseph Senor Kwashi, and I'm from Ghana, and I've been with an organization by name Community and Family Aid Foundation since 2005. But before then, I was a volunteer for quite a number of organizations for some time before I established one that was aimed at addressing quite a number of developmental issues. And so we've been around for all this while working on different projects and programs, depending on the community, people and communities, and then the nature of programs we want to do. So that has been one of our hallmark to date.
Wonderful. So we have a lot to learn from you if you've been doing this for a long time. So thank you for sharing with us. I
And
think
we
Go
are
ahead.
also based in, my organization is based in West Africa, especially Ghana.
Mhm.
And we are in the head, in the city, Accra. Apart from Accra, we do a lot of activities in different regions. We currently have 16 regions, but we are in the central, the city, and the eastern part of the country, and then at times the northern part of the country.
Wonderful. So a lot of impact around where you are. Can't wait to hear about that. So I know you have much going on. The particular project that we're going to talk about today is the World Environment Day project. So can you tell us a little bit about that and the success you had working on that?
Now, the World Environmental Day is normally celebrated almost every year on different themes. So our most of the time our press release focus on the theme. So this year's theme was on our land and our future.
Mm-hmm.
And then apart from the global theme, each and every country chooses which topic or issues that is they would like to work on or highlight as far as the contribution to World Environmental Day celebration is concerned. Yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
this year we restricted ourselves to the global theme, which we think there's not much to deviate from, because our land, our future is all that we are thinking of making sure that we do what is right to secure sound environmental health for ourselves. And when we do that, we are not only doing it for the future, we are only doing it for ourselves. We save the environment, we save our future, we save our life, we save everything that sustains life.
It's beautifully said, absolutely beautifully said. And I hope people are hearing that. Tell us what happened then. What did you do on World Environment Day?
Now, and on this year, the special 2024 World Environmental Day, we plan of the three major events. One was to issue a national and global press release, and then engage in a series of what we call social media outreach, then participate in a national event. For instance, in Ghana, like this, we have the Ghana EPA, Environmental Protection Agency. Then we have NGOs who are working in the areas of environmental issues, especially the Ghana Sustainable United Nations Sustainable Development Goals platform. It means we have a network of NGOs who are working on specific issues under the 17 goals of the UN SDG. So we are a member of that platform, and so we're looking at that. And then personally, we were looking at a tree planting campaign in the community. That was our major three activity we had in mind.
So that's a lot. I love the approach, right, of trying different ways to get the word out. If it's social media, it can then be a campaign, like you said, for planting trees. So the idea is to do many things, right, to reach people. You're more likely than to reach people that way. So fantastic. I'd love to hear more about that. What are the things that you think you did right? What are the things that you think you did well and that contributed to your success that other people could learn from?
Yes, we realized that among the three major events, we said we were looking at tree planting, we were looking at participating in the national event, and then we were looking at social media blast or social media outreach where we want to use a different platform to spread the message. And we realized that now the internet connectivity is all over, so people can read, so people can hear, people can see, and then it doesn't cost too much to, send a message on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and all other venues. So we realized that most of our messages on social media went viral or were received by so many organizations, and that went far. The other few activities like a national event and then tree planting were a bit limited. In other words, few participation because it depends on the community, the response, availability, time, and then the stakeholders you want to engage. So that was what happened.
That's interesting. I love that you use social media so successfully. Um, and that obviously it takes some time to grow a community on social media. But once you have that, the value is just the return is so large, right? Being able to reach so many people so quickly. And I appreciate that. You talked about the stakeholders, the other stakeholders that you were reaching. How do you find that it's best to engage people or reach out to people who are new to you? If they're not familiar with your social media, et cetera, how do you get to them?
Yes, we have what we call stakeholders mapping. In other words, whatever action you want to take or any activity you want to do, you should have who comes first, which real-time people will be are in charge. For instance, if I mention the Environmental Protection Agency, they are under the Ministry of Environment in my Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology in my country. So in the community, we have a community called Begro in the eastern region. You cannot do anything without letting the environmental office know, the metropolitan office, and then when you want to connect the issues to health, to you make sure that you ensure the district health directorate can also come in, and then they can also talk about the environment in connection with health issues related. So this is how to map out and then who is available. Now, if you want to work schools, we cannot, we have in our project, we have what we call youth adult partnership. In other words, if we leave a segment of the population as when they get there, they will know. We have to carry them along. So the issue of bringing schools, children to understand the need to protect and participate in activities involving the environment is quite critical. So this is how we normally try to mobilize stakeholders. We look at who matters most from the traditional authorities, parent network, youth associations, groups, women's, young hopefuls, and all that, and then institutions.
So you were really doing your due diligence to find out exactly who
Yes,
needs to be involved.
yes.
So Joseph, it sounds like to me there was so much planning that would have gone into this, right? You don't rush into it. You make sure you cover all your bases, so to speak, and talk to all the people in order that you need to and get the right, the right handshakes, the right approvals, essentially. and make sure that the right people are included. So I think that's a good lesson for all of us, because I think we want to rush into things, right? We're patient advocates, we're excited, or we're community advocates. We want to start, but I can hear very clearly all the planning that went into yours. So I think that's a good reminder for us. So tell me this, because whenever I implement a project, there's always something that I did not expect that happens, a surprise or a barrier, an obstacle. Did you have any of those for this?
Obstacles. Yes, when we talk of obstacles, then we are looking at, we were looking at Tree for Life, where we were trying to get some seedlings and red time materials for, because environmental issues are not only theory, but they're also practical issues, action. If you talk about tree planting, then you should have all the variety of trees and then the places you would like to. So, but that's where there was a bit of challenge because we didn't get the organization that's offered to give us over 500 seedlings and tree seedlings for planting could not timely honor their part of their deal. So that was a setback to the tree planting activity that we planned, and then last minute we have to make do what we have. So that is what happened. We couldn't get the 500 pieces of seedlings to plant in the community.
I imagine that was a big disappointment. The
Yes.
thing that I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. No, I was trying to say what you said was right. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Joseph. One of the things that then is nicely done about how you sort of plan this project was that if you then didn't have those seedlings, you still had so many other elements to the day that's even if that one piece fell through, you had all these other things that you were doing, right? That
Yes.
that would make the day a rich experience and still get toward the impact that you were looking for. So that's also, I think, a nice lesson for us too, to make sure it has those different components, right?
Yes.
So last question for you. What one piece of advice would you give to other organizations looking to do something similar to what you did with World Environmental Day? What would you tell them?
Yes, it's like it depends on what you put on. For instance, we have let's say different plans, plan A, B, C. So and then we have different activities. So once we didn't stick to only one activity. If there was a disappointment, what we do the next activity we put it into action. That is what make it successful. We said we are going to issue national and global press release. We did, and we made sure we circulated it to the right authorities, and then we reach out to as many people as we can reach out to. That was done. Participation in the national event, of which our volunteers and staff were at hand to also participate in the location that was organized. And then the issue of our plan for the seedling for planting, which could not was not honored. But we know year comes and goes. So if next year it has taught us a lesson to know who to trust and when to know when to what to do when the disappointment comes. Either we also get our own seedlings than to rely on what didn't materialize in the end, because the excuse was too much.
That makes sense. So you had multiple plans then. You'll know for the future then, right, to have those other plans, plan B essentially. But it sounds to me like it was a fantastic event. I saw the pictures that were online, and we'll make sure that people have access to that so that they can see on social media what the outcome was and they know about this project. So I just want to say, Joseph, this has been really helpful, and I really appreciate you just sharing the experience with us, because I know it was so successful and probably really rewarding for you. So thanks so much.
Thank you. You're welcome.